They found 18 skeletons in Wisconsin in 1912. Some of them were nearly 10 feet tall. Some had 2 rows of teeth. It was in the newspaper. And then, nothing. No museum, no textbook, no follow-up. Just silence. So, I want to ask you something. If that discovery was real, and there's documented evidence that it was, then where did those bones go? This isn't a question about mythology. It's not about ancient aliens or flat earth theories. This is about physical objects that were found in the ground, reported by real people, and then quietly disappeared from the public record. And when you start pulling that thread, you realize Wisconsin is just the beginning. There are thousands of these reports. Thousands. From every continent, across hundreds of years, going all the way back to ancient texts that describe a race of enormous humans walking the earth before us. And the strange part isn't that people reported them. The strange part is how consistent those reports are, even when the people making them had no way of talking to each other. So tonight, we're going to look at what those reports actually say. We're going to look at where the evidence went. And then we're going to ask the question that mainstream science still hasn't answered. Why does the official story work so hard to ignore this? Let's start in Nevada, 1924. A group of miners digging inside Lovelock Cave found something that had already been discovered once before, in 1912, by guano miners. Which is a sentence I never thought I'd say, but here we are. What they found inside that cave were mummified remains, ancient, preserved by the dry air. And several of them were unusually large. Some sources report heights between 6.5 and 8 feet. And the hair was red. Now, red hair isn't exactly common among Native American populations historically, and that detail matters, because the Paiute people, who are native to that region, had a specific oral tradition about a race of red-haired giants called the Si-Te-Ka. According to that tradition, these beings were violent and dangerous, and the Paiute ancestors eventually drove them into a cave and burned them out. That's the legend. And then, 3,000 years later, someone actually found the cave. Some of the artifacts from Lovelock are still in the Nevada State Museum. The giant skulls, though, harder to find. Some were reportedly sent to the Smithsonian. Some people say they were simply lost. And here's where it starts getting uncomfortable, because this pattern of things being lost or transferred keeps showing up. The Smithsonian Institution is the largest museum complex in the world. It holds over 150 million items in its collection. And in 2012, a researcher named Richard Dewhurst spent years going through 19th century newspaper archives and found over 1,500 documented reports of giant human remains, many of which were specifically noted as having been sent to the Smithsonian for further study. None of those remains are publicly cataloged. None of them are on display. When people have formally requested records through Freedom of Information filings, the responses have been vague, incomplete. Sometimes, flat out denied on the grounds that the records don't exist. Now, I want to be fair here. Museums lose things. Cataloging systems fail. Old records get corrupted. This is real, and it happens. But 1,500 reports, all following the same path. Discovered, reported, sent away, gone? That's not a filing error. That's a pattern, and this isn't just an American story. In 1833, soldiers digging at Lompoc Rancho in California found a skeleton nearly 12 feet tall, surrounded by carved stones and weapons. Local Franciscan missionaries ordered it reburied immediately. In Ecuador, Father Carlos Vaca collected enormous bones from a local site in the 1960s, bones that were examined by medical professionals and confirmed to be human, just massively oversized. In Sardinia, ancient structures called nuraghi contain stone carvings that some researchers believe depict a giant race that once inhabited the island. In Turkey, at Göbekli Tepe, the oldest known stone temple on Earth, built over 11,000 years ago, there are recurring depictions of figures that are significantly larger than the humans around them. The legends are not isolated. They span cultures that never met. They describe similar physical features: extreme height, double rows of teeth, red or unusual hair, aggressive behavior. And they all share one other detail. These beings existed before us or alongside us, and then they were gone. Here is the part that actually keeps me awake at night. If a race of giant humans existed, even a small population, even a regional one, it would break the current model of human evolution. Our entire understanding of how Homo sapiens developed, spread, and survived is built on a very specific story. One branch, one timeline, one origin. Giants don't fit that story. And science, like any institution built by humans, does not enjoy being wrong, especially not about something this fundamental. So the question isn't just whether the evidence was hidden. The question is whether the people doing the hiding even thought of it as hiding. Maybe they just called it insufficient data. Maybe they called it anomalous remains pending further review. Maybe the files are sitting in a drawer somewhere, labeled in a way that makes sure no one ever looks twice. The bones are real. The newspaper reports are real. The cave is real. The pattern is real. And somewhere, in a storage room beneath one of the most visited museums in the world, there are boxes that have not been opened in decades. What's in them? Subscribe to the channel.